Hi everyone, Kaylee here with Kaylee's Canvases, going live to show you how to paint a sunflower. Figure I'll show you. Just recently I created this porch leaner, alright, it's quite nice, alright, but on here I have some sunflowers that I did and I wanted to show you how to create the same effect, alright. So we are going to paint sunflowers. Well, one sunflower. I got my kids in the background. Alright, so don't mind them if they make a little bit of noise. They're playing Mario. Alright, but we're going to get into painting the sunflower. Alright, so I'm going to turn my camera around. If you want to paint with me, feel free to go ahead. Alright? Alright. Alright, have patience with me when it comes to the technology. I do not have the greatest setup. Alright, but right here I have a 9x12 canvas. Alright, and I'm going to start by painting a teal background. You can do this in any direction you want to. I've got mine vertical, up and down. You could do it horizontal, however you want to. I'm going to paint a sunflower down in this corner here, and I'm going to leave this kind of clear open up here just so I can write maybe a little word like sunshine or thankful or something like that. Alright, so I have with me, in the description I had said that I was going to have 2 paintbrushes. I have 3 different paintbrushes I grabbed. So if you want to grab your paintbrushes or whatever you're going to be doing to paint along with me, I've got a large flat brush, alright, a large round brush, alright, so it's just a round brush and it comes to a point like that. This is what we're going to use to make the petals of the sunflower. And then I've got a fine liner brush for all the small little details. Alright, I got 2 Q-tips. You probably only need 1, but I got 2, and that's going to be for making the little details on the inside of the flower. For paints, I have a messy palette. Alright, it's an old palette. It's a paper plate. Alright, but I have some black, white, teal, red, yellow, and I also will be adding orange and brown, but I haven't put those on my palette yet. I don't like to waste, so when I use a paper plate for one thing, I will use it for many things. So we'll get right into it. Alright, so I'm going to paint the background. I'm going to start by getting my paintbrush, my large flat paintbrush, just a little bit damp. So I just barely dipped it in the water, alright, just to get it a little bit damp so that the bristles are a little bit more pliable. Alright, and I'm going to just paint my black background a solid, teal color. I think this is called, it's called Caribbean. Alright, so I'm just going to paint the entire background this color. Oh, and I did bring a blow dryer with me. I have it set up right here, so that way if I need to dry this, which I definitely will, as I'm going through step by step, I'll dry it so that way we don't have any issues. If you don't have a blow dryer with you and you want to paint this later, feel free to do that. You can come back to this video. I will repost it. Alright, I'm also going to post it on my YouTube channel. Alright, so you'll be able to watch it on there, and I will also, in the YouTube channel, in the description, I will post all of the supplies that I used for this. Alright, so we're just going to paint the entire thing this color. Sometimes with paint, depending on the color and the brand, sometimes your paint might need a second coat. Now, one of the things, if you've watched any of my videos or you know anything about how I paint, I always like to paint the sides of my canvas. Alright, I've got my camera right above it, so it's a little bit difficult, but I'm going to try to get it without bumping into the camera. Alright, so I'm just painting the sides. I think it makes the canvas look a little bit more professional, and I do sell a lot of my artwork, so I always try to make everything I paint look professional. Alright, so we're just painting the entire canvas this teal color with the large flat brush. Alright, we're probably going to have to do a second layer, so it'll only take probably about 30 seconds to dry this with the blow dryer. All right. It is okay if your hands get messy. My hands are almost always messy with paint. All right. If anybody is painting along with me or even watching and you want to say hi, feel free. I love to see who's watching or who is painting along with me. All right, so I'm just evening this out. I'm gonna blow dry it really quickly. All right, don't mind the noise. You can actually see the paint drying right now. I love how quickly acrylic paints dry. I don't usually paint with oil because I don't have the space to wait for them to completely dry, because it can take a few months for oil paint to completely dry. So that's why you'll see me mostly painting with acrylic paint. Alright, so it is mostly dry. Still just a few damp spots, but I'm going to do a second coat so that way it's a nice solid blue. Alright, and if you're just joining, we are going to be painting a sunflower. Alright, I'm just doing a teal background right now, light blue, teal, Caribbean, whatever color you want to call it. The paint bottle says Caribbean, but to me it looks like teal. Alright, so we're just gonna paint this entire thing teal, and once it's dry we'll paint the sunflower. Alright. You can dry your canvas. If you don't have a blow dryer, you can dry your canvas with just simple patience of waiting about 30 minutes for it to dry, but who wants to wait that long when they're having fun painting? Alright, so I use a blow dryer. You can use just a thick piece of paper and kind of fan it, and that'll probably take about 5 to 10 minutes. Alright, but we want to just get painting, so I am going to rinse my brush. Alright, if you're hopping on and you want to paint along with us, we're painting a sunflower. Feel free to say hi and let me know if you want to paint this too. Alright, so I'm drying that. I'm going to quickly dry this again, so I know the loud blow dryer is coming back, so don't mind it. Alright, so this will only take about 30 more seconds to dry, and then we'll start working on our sunflower. I want to make sure it's dry because I definitely don't want the blue to get pulled into my sunflower. Not that we wouldn't be able to fix it, but that's just an extra step that I don't want to have to do. I know this sound is loud. I hate having to blow dry on camera. I do think it's cool to see how quickly the paint dries though when you use a blow dryer. Alright, so it's not 100% dry yet, but it's just about there. At least the majority in this corner is dry. So we will, I've rinsed out my flat brush. I've rinsed it out and dried it off, and I'm going to set it aside because we do not need this anymore. Alright, so now what I'm going to use, I am going to use the large round brush that I have, and I'm going to use that for the petals. Now when you're painting the petals, sunflower petals are obviously yellow, alright, but yellow is a very transparent color when you're painting, so you don't want to just throw yellow onto this canvas, or you're going to end up with some see-through petals, and you might even end up with green petals because yellow on the blue will turn up green. So what we're going to do first is we're going to paint the petals. We're going to paint them white on the canvas. Alright, so I am going to just switch out my water real quick because I have some blue water and I don't want that to go in my paint. I think next time I'll make sure that I have a second cup of water here with me so I don't have to do that to you guys. But I'm just getting my paintbrush damp. Alright, I'm just getting it damp, and when I am putting it on, when I'm drying it off on the paper towel, because whenever you get your paintbrush damp, alright, you put it in the water and you get it damp, you want to dry it off on a paper towel, because what happens is little water beads get built up on the metal part of your paintbrush, and when you're painting, they start coming down to the end of your paintbrush, alright? And then when you're putting the paint on, it kind of makes like a muddy paint, alright? And we don't want that. That's not what we want. So you always want to make sure, you know, that your paintbrush is just damp. You can kind of see the sheen from the water, and I just kind of twisted it on here because I want to keep that strong point. Alright, so my canvas is still slightly wet, but that's alright. I'm going to try to start in the dry spots. Alright, so I'm going to take my round brush. Alright, it looks like a fine liner brush, but it's just a big one. Alright, I'm going to dip it in the white paint. Alright, and I've got a good amount of paint on my brush right now. Alright, so I'm just going to start, let's see, right about here, and I'm going to put my flower in the corner. So it's not going to be like a full sunflower right here. It's going to be, the middle part is going to be right here, and the petals are going to come out about like this. Alright, so you just take your brush, you find out where you want the tip of your petal to be, and you kind of just press down. Alright, so we're just making a nice petal shape. Okay, and we're going to make a whole bunch of petals. Alright, it's okay if they don't come evenly in the middle, because what will happen is we will cover that up anyways with the brown part in the middle of the sunflower. Alright, so we've got one petal there. And the other thing too is when you're painting the petals, not every petal needs to be the exact same size, the exact same width. Sometimes you have petals that are different sizes and different widths and everything. So, but for the most part, most of them are pretty much the same. Alright, so if you're just hopping on, we're painting a sunflower. Alright, I painted the whole background of my canvas, which is 9 by 12. I painted it teal. Alright, to me it's just a happy color. It can be used for summer or spring or fall. Alright, doesn't matter if it comes down perfectly even in here. And the other thing is too, once you're done with making your petals, you'll be able to see if you want to make them any bigger or anything like that. But we're just doing the basic outline first, because like I was saying before, you can't just go in with yellow paint. Alright, you can't just go in with yellow paint because it'll be see-through. So we're painting white petals, and we're going to put the yellow on over top of it. My petals are a little uneven, but that's okay. It'll all come together in the end. And again, if you know me at all, you know I like to paint the sides of my canvas. Just looks more professional. All right, let's see. All right, we're just doing a general shape. It might look weird now, but it'll look good when we're all done, trust me. One of the things about painting, typically the painting process, a lot of artists always struggle with because they're like, oh my gosh, this is looking horrible. It's not going to come out the way I want it to, but it almost always turns out good in the end. You just have to follow through with it. All right, so we don't have to worry about, this white paint is a little bit streaky, only because we're painting on top, and this is just a base color, so we don't have to worry about it being perfectly smooth or even. Just a base color so our yellow will show up. All right, I'm pulling it down in because sunflowers have some big long petals. Some of them do, some of them are shorter. This one, they have big faces and big petals. Okay, I think I might make this one a little bit taller. And that's the nice thing about painting. If you don't like it at first, you can change it. All right. Beautiful. All right, so we have got a base here for our petals. All right, and I'm rinsing my brush right now. All right, we don't want to just put our yellow on top of these white petals because, again, like anything, the petals are wet, and if you mix wet paints, they will mix together. So we are going to dry this. My least favorite part is drying it on camera because it's so loud. Alright, we're just going to dry it quickly. Thank God this is acrylic paint and it dries pretty quickly. Okay. It is mostly dry. All right, so now I'm gonna use my round brush, all right, and I'm going to add the yellow. All right, so I'm just gonna get my brush damp again, all right, because I want my paint to go on smoothly, and I'm just making sure I have no droplets on the end of this metal piece because I don't want it to drip into my painting. All right, so I'm loading up my brush with a lot of yellow paint. All right, I'm gonna pick my driest petal because I didn't dry them 100% completely, but I'm gonna pick my driest petal, which is probably this one here. All right, and I'm just gonna paint right over top of the yellow, or the white, sorry. Mix up my words sometimes when I'm painting, I get so focused. All right. We're just going right over top of it. And if you have an unsteady hand like me, feel free to set your wrist or your arm or something on the table or the dry part of your canvas. I do not have a steady arm or hand, so I oftentimes set my wrist or my hand on the table, and I sometimes will use my pinky for balance. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to paint all these petals yellow. right? And I'm kind of doing it in the same, like the same general shape as the petals themselves, because sometimes when you paint, you can see the brush strokes and it kind of fits in and looks like part of the petal. Also, another good tip, when you're painting, if possible, you should try, if you're right-handed, you should try to paint left to right. And if you're left-handed, you should try to paint left to right, or right to left, I'm sorry. And the reason for that is, as most lefties know, right-handed people don't have to think about it, but lefties know that a lot of times they smudge their work because they go in the opposite direction. The world's set up for right-handed people, not left-handed people. Thankfully, I'm right-handed. But so it's always good to try to paint, if you're right-handed, left to right. Okay, I'm gonna get the side of my canvas because I always do that. All right, and I'm just bringing it down on top of all of the white. All right, even though it looks uneven here, that's okay. We're gonna cover it up with the brown center part of the sunflower. If you guys end up painting this on your own, I would love for you to come back and share a picture with me. Even if it's in the comments or a private message, I would love to see your finished picture. Painting is, a lot of people call painting art therapy because it's really, really good if you struggle with depression or anxiety or whatever. It's really, really good because when you're painting, you're totally focused on it, and it's hard to think about anything else other than your painting. So when you are painting, it takes away all your thoughts about anything that you're stressing about. You really just forget about it. All right, so I have all my petals are now yellow. Okay, I'm going to rinse out my brush. Just rinsing it out. Sorry if the camera's shaking. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit of orange to my palette. I didn't add it earlier because I just didn't. Alright, and while this yellow paint is still wet, I'm going to add in just a hint of the orange. And now I'm not loading my brush up a lot. Alright, I'm even adding a little bit of water to the paint. And that's just because I don't want some big, thick, bold orange lines in it. As you can see, I just have a little bit, it's kind of watered down, and I'm going to brush it through on some of these. Alright, I'm going to blend it. Alright. My kids are whispering in the background, so sorry if you guys can hear them. My daughter is seeking attention from her brother.
Because he's not listening.
Nicholas, why don't you go outside and play with her? She wants to go play.
It's getting dark.
Alright, so we've got a little bit of orange there. Alright, and we're just going to do all the petals. You don't need a super huge amount if you think that too much orange is coming on too solid or your paint is getting too sticky, because sometimes when you put paint on top of paint on top of paint, it can get a little sticky, so you can always water it down a little bit. Alright. Alright, but we're just following the shape of the petals, kind of rounded. You could just go straight down. If you do go in the middle, you might want to do it straight down. Alright. That's my next door neighbor with the loud muffler. Okay. So we're just and I'm not applying a lot of pressure because I don't want it to be like thick and solid and get rid of all the yellow. I kind of want it to blend a little bit. So I'm just applying just the very slightest amount of pressure. All right. Let's see. And this is just to give it some contrast, some depth. Most things, most flowers and stuff in life have different colors streaking through the petals. All right, let's see. We're almost done with this part of the petals. All right, just getting the sides. Okay, I think that's a good amount of orange in it. All right, so I'm just gonna rinse out my brush. All right, and I'm gonna go on to the next part. So what we're gonna do next, we're actually gonna do the middle. So even though in the picture I posted online, which was a picture that I painted myself, even though we have some white and red in our petals, I'm not gonna put them on right now because the petals are still wet and I wanna get the center done first. All right, and then we'll add the white and the red after. All right, so for the center, what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix brown with just a hint of black, all right, because we want it to be like a dark brown color. I'm gonna slide this up because I think the comments are covering up part of this. But anyways, so we're going to add just a little bit of black in with the brown. So I'm gonna get some brown on my palette. All right, and this is just a regular brown. It's called nutmeg. All right. You don't need a super huge amount when it comes to paint, unless you're mixing colors. You don't need to have a lot because you can always get more. You don't want to waste. All right, so I'm gonna pull. I know it might be hard to see. I've got brown here, all right, and I've got some black here. So I'm just gonna mix a teeny little bit of black with my brown. Brown is super, super powerful. Or I'm sorry, black is super, super powerful, so it will easily overtake just about any color that you mix with it. So just add a little bit at a time until it gets to be the color that you want it to be. All right, we just want this to be a dark brown. Don't mind my messy, dirty palette. All right, just a little bit more. Just want it a little bit darker. All right, and it's okay if it's not mixed completely because that's just gonna add some more depth to it. All right, so I'm just gonna pick up a lot of this brown and I'm gonna put it in the middle of my canvas and I'm just gonna pull it around. Okay. Just take it around and you can see now it definitely looks more like a sunflower now that we've got that brown in the middle. If you have to overlap some of your petals to get rid of some of the blue, that's fine. It might streak in a little bit since it's not completely dry. All right, but I'm just gonna blend this in the rest of the corner. And if you probably won't, even though it's a little streaky here, you won't have to, you really won't have to do a second layer because we're gonna add colors on top of this with our Q-tips. We're gonna mix in some yellows, some reds, some black. With the Q-tips, we're gonna dot it right on to kind of make it look like the center of a sunflower. Now, if you are still watching and you know anybody who loves to paint or loves to watch art tutorials or anything like that, feel free to share this video with them or even invite them to like my Facebook page. The reason for that is I have a decent amount of followers on my business page, but a lot of them are my friends and family who are supporting me. So, you know, they're not always interested in art videos. So if you know somebody who loves art, loves to paint, wants to learn more, definitely share this with them. All right, because art is important to a lot of people, even if it's not always important to you. All right, so I got the whole center, this dark brown color, it looks like chocolate. I'm rinsing off my brush in the water and I'm gonna dry it off and I'm gonna set it aside because I do not need it currently. All right, we are going to blow dry this again. All right, so I apologize to those that are tired of hearing the blow dryer. All right, but I'm gonna blow dry this so I can add the colors in the middle. All right. So I'm not even gonna focus on drying the petals right now. I'm just focusing on drying the brown part in the middle, so that's why I'm cupping my hand over it. The petals will dry enough on their own. Let's see, I think I might have it too hot. There we go. The other thing is you don't want to dry your canvas with too hot of a setting on the blow dryer. Even though it dries quicker, it has a tendency to dry out your paint and crack it, and you definitely don't want to do that. Alright, so this is most of the way dry. Alright, and we are going to use our Q-tip, alright, and we're going to add some yellow to the inside, alright, some red here, and then some black close to the edge. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my Q-tip, I'm going to dip it in the yellow, alright, and you don't even need a huge amount, just enough to get the end of your Q-tip a little bit with paint. Alright, and I'm just gonna gently, lightly dab it on. Okay. And it's okay if it starts to look like it doesn't have a ton of paint on the end. We're adding kind of like a light layer now. I'm gonna hit up the sides, guys, because I like to do my sides. Alright, we're just adding kind of a light layer on now for a base color, kind of like a darker yellow, and then we'll add some brighter yellow on top, but we're just gonna get this in first. Alright, so as you can see, I just dabbed it on. I'm gonna go a little bit further with it. Okay. Alright, I'm still keeping that curved shape on the inside of my sunflower. Alright, and once you feel that you have enough yellow, like that darker yellow, you can just add some brighter yellow, more towards the center part. Okay, more towards the center. We don't want to eliminate all the brown that's in here though. That's not what we're looking to do, because there's definitely brown on the inside of the sunflower. This is just like the little, I don't even know what you call them, the little stamens, the little seeds that are on the inside of the flower, the light reflecting off of it. Alright, I'm just using a Q-tip for this part. Nothing fancy, no real rhyme or reason to it. Just adding some color. Alright, and once you feel that you have enough color in the inside of your sunflower, I'm just moving this up just a touch. Alright. Once you feel that you have enough here, then we're going to go into the red. Alright, so I feel like I've got a good amount there. I didn't wash out all the brown. I still kept a good amount of yellow. I'm not changing my Q-tip. If you can see, I still have a tiny bit of yellow on there. I just dipped the yellow end into the red paint. Alright, and I'm just going to do the same thing that I did there, but I'm just going to dab. We will eventually overlap. And as you can see, because we didn't rinse off the yellow, we've got a little bit of yellow in the red paint, but that's okay because it gives us like a nice, kind of like an ombre effect going on. I like the way nature nicely blends things. So we'll try to get that same effect. Alright, so we're just getting some red. Alright, just using my dirty end of the Q-tip. Alright, and once you feel that you have enough red, because I don't want to pull too much yellow into the red, we're going to lightly dab some of that red into the yellow just to give it that ombre effect. Alright, If the end of your Q-tip feels too loose or wobbly, because mine's starting to fall apart, as you can see, you can switch to the other side. All right, but I'm just gonna, just a very light amount. I switched to the other side, just a very light amount, and I'm just gonna dab it through like this. All right, as you can see, we're just kind of blending. All right, I did bring 2 Q-tips in case I ruin these, so I have another one as backup, because sometimes it does tend to drag a little bit in the paint. All right, and if you feel like you've eliminated too much red or too much yellow, you can go back in and add it whenever you like. I'm going to bring this down a little bit because I'm going to add, the rest of this center is going to be the black. All right, but I do want a little bit of red going through on the bottom, on the outside of the flower here. All right, I'm going to switch to my other Q-tip because I feel like I ruined that one. All right, so I've got another clean Q-tip. I'm going to use black. All right, and this will actually make a bigger difference than you think because black is, again, such a powerful color on your canvas. It's okay if you overlap because a lot of times the center part will actually overlap. I don't know how to explain it because I don't know all the ins and outs of a flower. I know there's like stamen and all that stuff, but I don't know what you call it on a sunflower. Alright, so we're just gently blending, gently mixing. It's okay that it overlaps. It gives it more of a realistic look. Alright, we're going to add most of our black on this brown part here, but again, we are not totally eliminating the brown. We still want to see some brown through there. Alright, but to give it that ombre effect, when most of the black has run out on our Q-tip, we're just going to lightly pull it into the red because, again, we don't want to have too much black on our Q-tip that it washes out the red. So if you have to reload the black, just make sure it's not a lot. Dab it off on your plate. Alright, so as you can see up here, it kind of got a little like mixed in with the yellow. You can just dab a little bit of black on top. There we go. Alright, so for the most part, I think we're pretty good. I'm just going to add a little bit so it looks a little bit more blended in, a little more of an ombre effect. Alright, again, very little black. If you go up this high with your black, don't do a lot. You don't want to wash out all that red. Alright, and you definitely don't want to bring any black up to this yellow part because the center of the flower is going to be the most bold and vibrant. Alright, so while we are waiting for that to dry, because we will add a couple little white dots, you know, wherever we feel it might be necessary, we will add the white and the red to the petals because they are almost dry, not quite dry, but almost dry. So for that step, we are going to use the fine liner brush. All right, trying to get you to see it. So it's not super big. It's literally for small details. So we're going to get that damp. Make sure you dry it off on your paper towel so you get rid of those little droplets on the metal band because, again, we don't want it to blend in with our paint. All right, we are going to use some white. I'm going to grab some more white because I ran out of white. All right, so we're going to use some white. And we're just going to be gentle about it because we have, these petals are damp. So we're just going to kind of add in some white wherever you think there might be some light hitting these. You can also use your bigger brush if you wanted to, your large round brush. I'm just using this because it's here. And I'm going to use it for the next step too, so. Right, these colors all blended in will give it some nice contrast. All right, we will add some black to separate the petals. We'll do that in just a minute. Maybe we'll do that before the red. Okay, I think we got a good amount of white on. You don't want too much white because you don't want to wash out your bright colors here. All right, but we're just adding just a touch. Whatever you feel comfortable with. All right, and it's okay if it looks like there might be, you know, in odd directions or whatever. You can, however you want to. All right, let's see. So I'm going to do black next for the separation of the petals. So I rinsed off my brush. I've got it to a nice fine point because for this step, we're definitely going to need a nice fine point. I'm going to use the black paint. All right, and I'm just going to put, I'm not going to put a lot on. I'm just putting a little bit on. You can always add more if you need to. But being very careful not to stick your hand or your finger in the wet petals. If you need to turn it upside down, you can, which I actually might do that because I have a tendency to put my hand in the wet paint. So this way I can rest my arm or my hand on the dry part of the canvas. All right, so we're just gonna do a light line. All right, it doesn't have to be anything perfect. We're just giving it a shape, like a general outline, some shading, so that way we can tell that these petals aren't just one petal and that they don't all just overlap each other, that there's a difference in the petals. All right. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It gives it like a little, like a sort of a whimsical feel to it, kind of. All right, you can go like this and it'll make it look like there might be another small little petal behind. You could even add some smaller petals if you wanted to. This is your sunflower, so however you want to do it is absolutely fine. Your painting does not have to look exactly like my painting, and even my paintings, you know, when I repaint something that I've done, it doesn't ever look the same twice. I'm just getting the sides because I always get the sides. I'm just giving it some shading and some depth. It's okay if you kind of give it a few little lines like up the middle, but if you do anything up the middle or around like the inside of the petal, you want it to be very light. You don't want it to be a thick line. Your thicker lines are going to be in the center. All right, and this is just for like the shading, like any little shadows that the light might cast on the flower. We've got a lot of highlights now, we're just getting our lowlights. Contrast is important when you're doing any picture. It really makes it stand out. My high school art teacher taught me that. I was always, when I used to paint or draw, I was always afraid to do too much light and dark because I was afraid that I would mess it up. And she's like, listen, you can't really make it look lifelike if you don't have that contrast. So she was an amazing teacher for me. All right, and also remember that, like I said before, not everybody's painting is going to be the same, so don't feel that yours has to look exactly like mine. Everybody's got their own style of artwork. All right, so we've got, I think we've got some good color and shape here. Next we'll go into the red to add even more. All right, we're just adding a little bit. All right, I'm going to flip this back around. Okay. All right, in a minute we will actually write something up here. I'm not sure if you guys have any ideas of something that you'd like me to write up there. Feel free to type it in the comments. I was thinking either sunshine or thankful. I don't know. If you guys have any ideas or if you like one better than the other, definitely type it in the comments. I would love to see. All right, so next I'm going to do red. And I'm not going to do super bold red, so I'm going to actually get a little bit of paint, just a little bit of paint mixed in with my red paint, or a little bit of water mixed in with my red paint. And this is just going to add just a little bit more brightness to the picture. So as you can see, I've got some red on my fine liner brush. It's not a huge thick glob of paint, and I'm just going to kind of add it in, and then I might just, instead of doing like some streaks like we did up here, I might just add little red dabs, kind of in like little mini petal shapes. You can add streaks too. All right, but we'll just do this for now, and you can add as many as you like. Again, if you're painting this, I would love to see your finished results. So definitely feel free to send me a message with a picture or post the picture in the comments. I know a lot of people are scared to share their artwork, but you shouldn't be. It is scary. It was scary for me the first time I did Facebook Lives or the first time I posted anything on, you know, but we gotta conquer our fears. It's the only way we're gonna get better. All right, so I'm just gonna add a couple little dabs close to the, and I have a lot of red going on here, so I might even just add a couple small little streaks up top to even it out. That one was a little bigger than what I wanted, but that's okay. Looks all right. Again, just very thin to balance out the red, because we do have a lot of red going on here, which is very lively. And if there's ever anything you guys would love to see me paint, like any tutorials that you want to learn, don't hesitate to message me and say, hey, can you teach me how to paint, you know, a truck, you know, or a calla lily. Calla lilies are my favorite flowers, so you might end up seeing one of those someday. All right, so I think we got a good amount of color there. All right, what we can do also, we'll definitely add some white for even more of a pop. All right, but I did bring with me, and I don't know if I'm going to use it, I brought with me some gold glitter, and I brought with me some silver glitter. I don't know if I want to use them or not, so if you guys think I should, tell me, or else I'm not going to use them. All right, but I'm going to just, again, I got my fine liner brush, just a tiny little bit of white. I'm just going to add some teeny tiny little white dots, probably more in the middle, because that's where most of the brightness is occurring. In the middle of the flower is this yellow part. All right, and when I add some like to here, I won't be putting quite as much. All right, we already got our white in the petals, so we're just adding some white here too. And again, I'm thinking if I do the silver glitter, I might add the silver glitter to the middle and maybe some gold in the petals. If you think I should, let me know. All right, so just little tiny bits in the rest of the middle of the flower. You don't want a lot because this is the darker part, but we do want some. Alright, I think we got a good amount going on. Oops, it might be too big. It's okay. Looks alright. Alright, so now time for the words. Let's see. Okay. I didn't see anybody say whether or not they wanted glitter. So let's see. Nobody said whether or not they want glitter, so I guess no glitter. That's alright. We can always add glitter to something else. So I'm going to add the words up here, and I think I will do the word sunshine. Alright, so I'm using my fine liner brush and I'm getting some black on it. Not a huge amount, but a good amount, because I'm going to try to make them semi-thick but semi-fancy. And this is all going to be freehand, so please have some grace with me and don't judge too hard. I don't have the best handwriting. Let's see. And right now, the general idea, you just want to get like a general outline, because freehand, like when you're freehanding letters or words or whatever, it doesn't, it's not always really easy. So as long as you get like a basic outline of the letters, and then you can make them thicker as you go, however you want them. One of the things I would love to do is take a calligraphy class, because I think that would look really cool. Alright, if your black looks too dried out, take some water, just a little bit, and add it to your black paint. You know, when you're painting with the same brush sometimes, and you want to get you know, it'll dry out and you want to get a nice thin smooth line, so you have to add water to your paint to thin it out, but not too much, or else you'll end up with kind of a sloppy mess. Alright, almost there. Again, you don't want too much paint on your brush. If you are just coming on, we have painted a sunflower, and I will be reposting this, so if you missed it and you want to paint this, feel free to go back and watch this. It will be on my Facebook, but I'm also going to add it to my YouTube channel. So if anybody hasn't yet, feel free to check out my YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting all my videos on there with descriptions in them, links to my website and everything. If you want to go on, like my videos, and subscribe to my channel. I'm very new to the YouTube world, but I would love to have you subscribe. Alright, E's are not easy to do, so let's see. I definitely don't like the way I did this E. And I might go back in. Hey Gerald. Oh, Gerald says, love sunflowers, my favorite. I want that picture, and make me one, please. Oh, Gerald, I would love to get this picture for you. So when I'm done with this video, I'll message you, okay? Thanks for being on and watching. I really appreciate everyone being on and watching. It's definitely fun to teach and to show you how to create the same things. My hand is a little wobbly. I'm standing up doing this, which is not a good idea. But I will go back through and I will thicken these lines. But for now, this is what we got, and I think it looks good. There's a little bit of glare, I notice, on the camera, so don't mind it, but it definitely looks different, a little different in person. There's no glare from my lights. So thank you so much for being on. If you're watching this on my YouTube, feel free to like this video and subscribe to my page, and definitely post anything that you've made. If you made something like this, definitely post it in the comments. Thanks so much. Bye.